Insider presents Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Lachlan. We cover entertainment, news, and tech with special guest appearances. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Another edition of Indie Event. And I am, of course, I am Matthew Harris. I'm here with my co-host and partner in crime, Meredith Lachlan. And this edition, folks, as you can see, if you're tuning in on YouTube or Facebook, we've got someone from Full Moon Features, and which we've had some folks from Full Moon over the last couple of months. But this time, ladies and gentlemen, it is none other than the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Charles Band. Charles,
hey.
I just got chills doing that intro, man. And I got my damn parakeets are going to go off at this time.
Yeah, I was asking, what's that little bird sound? There's another guest here we're not looking at.
I got to move them over. I'm waiting on my outside studio to be done. But Charles, I can't tell you what a pleasure this is. I've told John Lachago and Robin and several others that we've met from the Full Moon family that I have been a Full Moon fan since the 80s, man. Back going into the video store for VHS. If I saw the Full Moon logo on there, I didn't give a shit what the title was. I grabbed it because Puppet Master, and then, Pit and the Pendulum, which a lot of people forget about, and the Doll Man and Demonic Toys, which I always wanted to see Demonic Toys and Puppet Master fight. I don't know, but I think that's probably everybody. But folks, Charles and the folks at Full Moon Features, they've not only been bringing us quality entertainment in the horror genre for all these decades, they're the most successful direct-to-home video franchise ever. Don't y'all have a world record for something like that, Charles?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny now. I guess we're still home video. It seems like an old arcane way of calling what is now. We're live on streaming sites. We have our own streaming site. But back in those good old days, when you went to your local video store, for many years, we were the number one independent supplier of videos, not just movies you mentioned in the 90s, like again, Subspecies and Puppet Master and Demonic Toys and Trancers, but going all the way back to the late 70s, early 80s with movies like Ghoulies and From Beyond and Reanimator and Troll and all the movies I made, during those years. So when you add it all up, it's like decades of fucking weird movies for sure.
And, even being the big Full Moon fan that I am, I didn't realize until recently when we started forging this relationship with you guys and with your PR folks that you all did do Ghoulies, because I just thought that was because it wasn't in the normal wheelhouse that I kind of pigeonholed myself of Full Moon into, and that the same with Prehysteria. Didn't realize. Now that was more. Was that more your dad, or was that your baby?
No, that was me. What's unique about, first, I was very lucky to have an awesome father who taught me. I mean, I grew up on a movie set, so I knew the craft before anything happened. And luckily, I guess I love sci-fi, fantasy, and horror films. That was the genre I stuck to. But when my dad got older, he worked for Full Moon, and he used to call it reverse nepotism. He was an awesome father, and he was line producer on a lot of shows, all the Stuart Gordon shows we made, Reanimator and From Beyond and Dolls and Robot Jocks. But he was also a wonderful director. And we got so busy at Full Moon in the early 90s because we were making a movie a month for Full Moon, the Full Moon label distributed by Paramount. But we also started to make a movie almost every month for Moonbeam, which was sort of Full Moon Light for kids, Harry Potter-esque sort of movies. And I was so busy at the time that I did want to direct the first Moonbeam film, which was Prehysteria, but I didn't have the full time. So I said, Dad, why don't you and I co-direct it? And he said, that's great. He was happy to do that. But what's unique about that, usually co-directors are on the set at the same time and they're debating and they're talking to the actors. That wasn't the idea. The idea was when I couldn't be there, because I had to be at the office or I had to deal with something, he would step in. So the poor actors never knew which band they were getting. It was either me or my dad. We were never there at the same time, just to say hello and goodbye.
That's too cool. And you just see Meredith over here sitting nodding her head, Charles, because we've been doing this 9 months,
Wow.
and there's only been one other guest that I don't want to push away our other guests. Go ahead.
I was going to say, essentially, I told Matthew that I might have to use the mute button on him if he totally fangirls over you.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, listen, that's all right. It's okay.
A few months ago,
I just make movies. I mean, I've been doing it for over 40 years. And the most recent film, which, now we're releasing movies on our streaming site, That's the World We Live In. I've been numbering my movies since day one because I'm a collector at heart. So I like to assign a number to each movie. So the movie we just released, which was a crazy Barbie and Kendra movie called Barbie and Kendra Storm Area 51, is my 339th film. So that's pretty awesome. I don't know how that happened.
And I can't wait to see that one. We met Robin and Cody a couple of months ago. They were actually our first dip in the toe of the, God dang.
Meredith, help them out. Help them out.
Usually I forget my questions, Charles, so at least I can keep the train of thought going here. But that was our first foray into interviewing folks with Full Moon, and we just had a blast with them. And I can't wait to see this one because I loved Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger King. And then I saw the trailer for this one, and it looks great. It's just right in that same lines. And we're hoping to have them on. We had mentioned something to the PR person a week or so ago, so we're hoping to be on the list for that.
Yeah, no, they're ready. They love talking to you. They've talked a lot to other people, and they think you guys are the best.
Oh, well, now
thank you. Now, I wanted to ask you something because you've basically seen the film industry kind of grow up and kind of go into digital and everything. What was that transition like for you, going from like traditional film into digital? Well,
okay, so that's a good question, and one of those ones that it's not a 1 minute answer. So
go for it.
Yeah, I think the basic structure of entertainment and what movies are all about, and today we keep saying movies. I mean, I don't know what a 60-minute program is called, a 30-minute. I call them all movies, So whatever the show is, whatever the entertainment is, the basic requirements to do something good or wind up with something bad is always the same. It's the quality of the writing. Without a good script, you can't make a movie. The directing, the writers, everything combined is what makes a good story on screen. So that's never changed. Same deal. But what's changed is the medium and the technology. So when I grew up, literally on a movie set, everything was, big, heavy lifting, big lights, lots of light to light up 35 millimeter and big cameras and lots of guys hauling the stuff around, and that was my training. And that was during a time, and super young people can't even fathom a time where you could never see movies on demand or when you wanted to. You would have to wait up late for a local, usually a bad channel that cut up some movie you were looking forward to, or you went to a revival house and saw some film. It was an older film, or you went to the drive-in and saw, if you're into like weird movies, Corman films before me and my films. That was it. That was your world. There was no internet. There was none of the stuff that people are used to today. So that evolved, as we all know, into video. And I was lucky to be like the first independent to start a company in 1977. Sounds like another, century ago. And it was a video company. And back then it was the beginning of the home video business. And there were two formats. There was VHS and Betamax. The Betamax died real quickly, and VHS survived for many, many years and helped all through the 80s fuel a lot of cool independent films, mine and others, that are looked back today as sort of cult classic movies that could never have been made, within the studio system. Studios wouldn't have made movies like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Ghoulies and I Spit on Your Grave. These movies would never have been made if it was just the major studios. And that sort of morphed into DVDs. VHS now looks like an antique. If you look at one, it's like, whoa, look at it. And young people go, what? I mean, they know what it is, but it's like looking at a 33 RPM record. It's like, that's something from that's a Stone Age device. So anyway, so DVDs and rental and Blockbuster in Hollywood, and we thrived during that period. And then that kind of died, and there was a long stretch before this new medium, the streaming business sort of happened. And I was lucky to be to be early on in that. We were the first independent streaming site on Earth, right after Netflix. You know, you can't take away the fact that they started the whole damn thing. I mean, I remember it wasn't that long ago, we would get in the mail DVDs from Netflix. That's what they did.
Yeah.
Subscription DVDs, you know, and then they turned this into an amazing situation. So that's sort of the history of at least in my time. But even before me, even if I was making movies in the 40s, which would be probably impossible, it would be 35 millimeter and drive-ins and those kind of movie theaters. So what's fundamentally different today, other than the delivery system, is the fact that for no money, for a few grand, you can get a digital camera with some technical expertise. You can shoot pretty well, you can light it, you can edit quickly, fast. You can do this all yourself for no money. Whereas back in my day when we started, the price of entry was expensive. Even if everybody worked for free, you had to buy 35 millimeter negative, you had to develop it at a lab, you had to rent expensive gear, you had to get people who knew what they were doing. And so even if you made super low budget movies and your cast and crew literally work for free, which most people don't, it still cost 40, 50 grand back in the 70s when I started to make a movie. Now today you can make a movie for nothing, but then I don't know what you get. You know, the problem is that to prove yourself back then, to be able to attract financing for someone to say, unless you were independently wealthy, your dad was rich, that wasn't my case. I mean, luckily my dad did well enough that I learned how to do what I did. But then we came back to this country because I grew up in Italy, and he sort of, you know, lost his money, and I sort of had to start from ground zero. But the bottom line is, back in the day, to get money to make a movie, you had to convince people to put the money up. And they would always ask, well, what is your, you know, what is your background? You know, what have you done? Well, I've written, I've directed actors on the stage. You know, you have to have some acumen to be able to say, and now give me 100, 150 grand so I can make my movie. And so the price of entry was more, and it was more difficult to find the money. And usually people who got the break had some background, you know, some training, at least working with actors, you know. Today you don't need it. Today, I shouldn't say you don't need it. You need it more than ever. But today people can literally, as long as they know how to work the gear, they can say, well, I'm going to make a movie, and they can make a movie. And, you know, we usually look at them and they go, oh my God, what is that? Because they don't, you know, it's tough. It's tough to do it the right way. But at least today you can go out, and if you have some sort of background, you can put something together very inexpensively as a showpiece. That's why people are making shorts. Hey, look what I did for $5 grand, and they show you a 10-minute piece. And if it's terrific, you go, wow, she or he, they got talent. Let's put them into a film. So the world is different that way, but the fundamentals are exactly the same. You can spend $200 million and make a big Hollywood tentpole movie, and most of those suck, unfortunately, the ones in our genre, because they're just endless. You go, shit, it's been 90 minutes. When is this thing over? I've seen 1 billion special effects. You know, where are the human beings? Who cares about all this? You know, anyway, I'm rambling on, but that's it.
Well, I did want to ask
great.
you, as far as filmmaking, we have talked to a couple of the directors, and they're like, he gives us a 7-day deadline.
Well,
wait, I think John said 10. I think John said 10.
What kind of evil is that?
Well, you know, you have to work within your means, and I've been doing this for all these years. I've had great years and really bad years, you know, so it's not like it's just been awesome, but I'm still here, and now things are picking up because of streaming. There was a stretch where when the video store was gone and our distribution network was gone, which simply meant that people couldn't find our movies anymore. So for about 4 years, I went on the road. I did 200 cities. I went all over the country. I created something called the Full Moon Roadshow, Horror Roadshow. And I would book theaters, and we would fill them up anywhere from 400 to 1,200 seats. It would be like a crazy, demented Oz fest. I mean, we would chop heads off. I'd show clips of movies. We would have audience come up. Girls would take their top off. It was an insane 2-hour show. And the way we funded it and made a few bucks was we would bring literally a truckload of merch to every venue. And afterwards, we'd sell the merch, and I would sign and meet out. I'm sure I've met 20, 30,000 people over those 4 years, or probably more, because I would sit there and then, you know, sign things and talk to people. I wanted to keep the spirit of full moon alive. And I see Matthew's grabbing something off the shelf.
I'm grabbing my Killjoy.
Killjoy.
Yeah, this was right after, folks, right after we confirmed Charles to come on here. All of a sudden I get an email and it says, Charles wants to send you some swag. And I'm like, okay, sweet. Here's my address. And at first I'm like, well, how much is this going to be? And then I went, in the title it said, he wants to send you something free. And two of the biggest things, one was getting the Killjoy, but you mentioned VHS a while ago, and there was 2 VHS that are shrink wrapped, that are original full moon. I was excited to sell. I don't have a VHS. I don't have a VCR, but I was excited as hell to get these shrink wrap because it was full moon. And that, you guys were some of the first that, and I guess probably because I had that connection, but I remember thinking early on, man, I want a blade. I want a puppet blade. And so those, besides Star Wars in the early 70s, these were the first horror movies where I was like, I want these freaking characters. And you guys, y'all have, you've got the miniatures, and then of course we got the Blu-rays and everything. And of course we see you got a lot of swag behind you. But Full Moon has been, just that staple in the horror industry. And folks, if you've never seen a Full Moon feature movie, I want you to understand that these are not, yes, they are the quote unquote low budget horror movies, but they really don't feel that way. You get the horror feeling, and they use practical effects, but the storylines are good, and it's just great fun, especially if you really start out at the beginning with Puppet Master and some of the earlier stuff. What's up, Meredith? I saw you raising your finger.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know, when it came to merchandise, Charles, was that a eureka moment for you? Was it just like, or was it just out of necessity? Was it a little bit of both? Because a lot of people, they don't have that marketing savvy when it comes to their movies or their craft, whether it's books, whether it's anything.
I just have to say real quick, one of y'all's landscaping crew sucks right now because I can hear them mowing.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice it, but of course, there's only 1 hour in the entire week. It's not it's next door, right here, building next door, where they come with those leaf blowers, which are, I can't imagine anything worse. They make a hell of a lot of noise. They blow crap everywhere, and they emit exhaust, right? So it's just like a nightmare device. So, but I think they're moving away.
No problem. I just had to say that because I wanted folks to know that background noise was something
that's motherfucker. That's live streaming. That is live streaming.
That is. I could open the window and yell at them. That's not nice. That's their job, Shut the fuck. I can't do that. But anyway, back to what you were saying, Meredith. So I've always been in the marketing zone as far back. I started doing weird stuff as a kid. At 15, I opened an underground club in Rome where I grew up, which I had no permits. It lasted 2 weeks, and I got in a lot of trouble. I've always been doing crazy, really crazy things. And when it comes to the movies and everything related to the films, I started early on with some kind of merch trick, because even going to a theater, I used to do things where we would pass out this is way long time ago. We would pass out, posters, and I would sign them. I did everything I could to try to create something a little more than just it's another movie. But it really blew up when we started Full Moon, because before Full Moon, the company was called Empire. And then it sort of morphed into Full Moon, and Full Moon started in 1990 with Puppet Master, and we were distributed by Paramount. And it really became obvious at that time when Paramount was really pushing these movies. They were doing extremely well. We were, again, biggest supplier for many years, early to mid 90s, won awards and all that stuff. But then it became apparent that, we have movies that sort of almost by accident deal with puppets and dolls and, creatures and things that the old word was toyetic. I'm not sure if toyetic is a word you use anymore. It sounds retro. But yeah, these movies do have that at their core. And so we started releasing comic books and action figures in the 90s. We shipped a few million action figures of the Puppet Master puppets and subspecies and demonic toys. So that kind of ended because that market got glutted. But in the 2004 or 5, all the way until video sort of died, and I went on the road, that helped a lot, because what we would sell on the road, of course, was obviously the Blu-rays and DVDs and box sets, but we also would have all the action figures, the one scale puppets. So that sort of saved our butt and kept us, in front of people who wanted to show up and see what was going on. I mean, these shows also had celebrity guests. So the first one I did was in Dallas, Texas, and we had William Shatner, who was a pal, and Bill Moseley, and Jeffrey Combs. And so every stop we tried to bring in a couple of horror film celebrities to, make it more of an event. And even though those were really difficult years, because, everyone would say, dude, are you out of business? I said, no, we keep trying to make movies here, but it's your local video store that's out of business. That's what happened. That was how people saw our movies. We didn't have another way to get movies out there. We weren't releasing them theatrically, right? We did some in the 80s, but not in the 90s. And, occasionally HBO would buy a movie, or Showtime, and they would show it late at night. But otherwise, when the video stores died, that was it for a while. So I'm just grateful that Full Moon Features is doing well, our streaming site. And it's our new video store. It's the video store of this century now.
And
sorry, Matthew.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to give a real quick shout out to the people who are viewing. They are big fans of you, Charles, and Full Moon Features. We have Captain Howdy 666, Andrew Kennedy, Jester Mikey, Toku, Nerd, and more. Neil J. Voice. Thank you guys for tuning in to the live stream with Charles Band. Matthew.
I was going
to. Well, he's like top 10 fan for sure. And who could forget that name, Jester Mikey?
And I was going to call out the Captain Howdy 666, because that has to be, without a doubt, a D. Snyder Strangeland fan.
For sure.
And they've been posting some stuff. And the one thing I loved, Charles, was he said, I want to collect the band, the Charles Band soundtrack on 8-track, please. He wants to go totally retro, man.
We're pretty retro. We're still releasing. Literally a few months ago, we released an uncut version of Tourist Trap in an old style big VHS box. And in there, we have a little Chuck Connors action figure. That's about as retro and as weird as it gets. But no, I've got a gazillion movies on Blu-ray. I still have my VHS collection. It's ridiculous. But I'll have to admit, like everyone else, we get sort of lazy. You got that one little control, and you go wherever you go on, hopefully our streaming site or Netflix or Hulu and Amazon, and you don't even get your ass off your chair. Recently this is a terrible story. I wanted to show one of my kids. They wanted to see a little piece of one of my movies, and we have it up on our streaming site, which you can get on Apple, on Roku. So I forget why this happened, but we were on the site, and I said, there it is. You want to watch it? They go, yeah, but why don't we watch it on Blu-ray? Right? Adult kids. And I go, well, the Blu-ray, I gotta find the Blu-ray, the shelf. And I did, because how can you refuse that? And it was a pain in the butt. I had to find it, and it was dusty. And then he had the machine and the thing. And anyway, it's terrible, because I do love physical media, but there we are. I'm sorry about this. These guys out there.
Oh no, it's not bad now. When I said it earlier, they were really close. But
we'll come in my office and start trying to clean the floor here. I'm just kidding.
Right. And dang it, and you made me laugh, and I forgot my question. But no, you're all right. It happens every time. I try to blame it on someone. I usually blame it on Meredith.
Okay.
But the one thing that I wanted to know is, because, Charles, you've been doing, like you said, you've been doing this a long time. The Puppet Master series started in the 90s. I actually, with the old brain and the COVID brain or whatever, I really thought that it was the 80s. I thought I started watching them in the 80s, but it does make more sense that I started that once I was married and was renting movies more often. But what is, or who is, your favorite puppet?
Jester Mikey. One day we're going to put him in a movie. No, I don't. People ask me what my favorite movie is. I have like a top 10. Like Head of the Family. It's one of the coolest movies. I mean, you know, head of the family, and of course, Hideous and Trancers. I love the first few Trancer
Oh,
movies. They're
yeah.
very cool. But you know, Ghoulies, even a movie like Laser Blast I made in the late '70s is pretty trippy film, and I think Mystery Science Theater did a good job making fun of it. But you know, there have been so many over the years, and as far as puppets, there, I mean, you can see just some behind me. I mean, I've got like hundreds. I mean, there's too many. I mean, Dolls alone, a movie I made, Stuart Gordon directed, called Dolls, had, I think we had 55 or 58 different puppets in that movie, or dolls and creepy characters. So, but if I had to guess, okay, I somehow like Pinhead because I met people like Pinhead who are, you know, luckily
Same here.
I don't have to deal with them anymore. But when you're a young kid, you get kind of, you know, screwed around a bit. You trust people. They're like these Pinhead characters in my life. So Pinhead's pretty cool, and obviously Blade and Jester. Not
Right,
just because
right.
Jester Mikey's watching. Jester's pretty cool character.
Yeah.
So you know, some of them.
Now,
Wait.
I wanted to ask you about the Deadly 10 because we're getting towards the end of the year. Did you hit goal?
For the pandemic?
Are we on track with that?
Well, we are on track, except for the year we lost because of COVID. So what happened was we shot 4 of them, 2018, and the last one the beginning of 2019, and we had 4 planned for the summer. The most exciting, I shouldn't say this because they're all exciting, but the one that was a big effort for us is we had Ted Nicolau, who did the Subspecies movies. He's we had him set up in Croatia. He already been there because, you know, it requires castles and horses, and it's like the backstory of Radu if you've seen the Subspecies show. So that was a very ambitious show. He had already been there. He was ready to roll and bring the original cast back. We were shooting 2 movies in Italy, and all that died because of COVID. You know, by March, we couldn't travel. You know, the world was shutting down. So the Deadly 10 movies, which are pretty ambitious, and they also have the live stream component, which was very cool because we did shoot 4. We shot Blade, which we released recently. Actually, there's one that we shot, and it took a long time in post because it's full of special effects. It's sort of like a Barbarella, sexy kind of movie. It's called Femalian Cosmic Crush. And that movie's coming out December 11th on our streaming site. I mean, it's got some little TNA and some fun stuff, but it's like kind of a sexy Star Wars. That was the 4th of the 10 Deadly 10 movies. And then we had to shut down because of COVID. So because I think we're a year away from being able to go back into those sort of productions, other than Barbie and Kendra, which are unique because of what they are, we've designed a whole slew of shows that we're going to do that are very contained locations, require very small crew, and we're going to start shooting those literally in 3 weeks. So the first one, and we're going to try to do 2 a month. So we're like out of control, you know, in masks filmmakers. But the first one that's coming up, we just announced it a few days ago. It's called Miskatonic U, the Resonator. And it's a, sort of an homage to Lovecraft and my good friend Stuart Gordon, who, you know, passed away recently, and super talented directors. So Billy Butler, who he and I go back also a million years, Billy's writing, will be directing this first of our, I don't even know what to call them. They're movies, feature films. We're going to deliver them in 2 parts because we think it's kind of cool. People have less of attention span. 60% of people watching streaming watch it on their mobile. And after 20, 30 minutes, they probably get off a bus or whatever the hell they do, and then they resume watching the show the next day. So we're splitting these movies into 2. But these are going to be some really cool movies, back to our roots. We're doing, I can't reveal all of them because we're supposed to do all these sort of exclusive announcements, but we've got 18 planned. The only one we announced so far is the Lovecraft piece. And Miskatonic U, you know, Miskatonic University is a fictitious university for anybody who's read or loves Lovecraft. That's sort of his made-up university, fictitious university. So we thought it'd be a cool place to have these kids, very, very much inspired by From Beyond. So we have Crawford Tillinghast, who's the character who resurrects and creates this resonator, this machine that sort of rips a hole in time and space, and some really evil, gooey creatures come out, and the rest you can imagine. So that's sort of a Lovecraft, Stuart Gordon homage show. And that one we're literally casting right now. And then starting in January, we hope to shoot 2 every month, which is super ambitious. And all those will be released on our streaming site.
Well, you know, Charles, you have been one of the most, for me, innovative filmmakers because you've always been the kind of able to pivot. You took I don't want to say took advantage, but you kind of created the independent genre back in the 80s and 90s, and you've kept that going. You keep that feel going. You keep us coming back wanting more and more. And then now, and when I'll admit it, and because I'm sure there's many of our audience out there that have had the same thing. You hear the concept of Barbie and Kendrick Save the Lion King or the Tiger King, and you're like, what the hell? And then you watch it, and it's good fucking fun. And but you pivoted and did this pandemic type of filming in a very short time on a shoestring budget, sticking to quarantine procedures. And then you were so, and I'm not trying to kiss the butt here, but I just have to kind of do the thing because it was worthy of watching. It's not just a movie for the sake of making a movie, and that's why I can't wait to see the Storm Area 51. I cracked up at the damn trailer, and I can't wait until the world opens back up and we can start seeing some more of these features. And I know we're strapped for time, but
I'll tell you, we got a few more minutes. So let me tell you about Barbie and Kendra Storm Area 51, which is really cool. Yes. So Barbie and Ken, the first one was called Corona Zombies. Yeah. And, we then, because it had to do with Barbie and Kendra, they're the ditzy girls who kind of discovered we're in a pandemic, and then they watch kind of a low rent, in this case, horror movie site where they watch an old zombie film, and that's Corona Zombies. And of course, we did a Woody Allen What's Up Tiger Lily trick, wiped the soundtrack, put in current dialogue, and it's actually very funny. And we released it literally 30 days into the beginning of COVID, and I think it does stand the test of time. It was a little sensitive times back then, so the reviews range from that is so funny, it's a breath of fresh air, it's silly, it's good for a laugh, all the way to you guys suck. How can you make a movie about something that's killing people? Anyway, at least I can say we're the first movie about Corona ever made on planet Earth. There'll be 100 of them, that 2-3 years. Right. Meryl Streep will co-star. She'll be crying. There'll be some big $200 million Hollywood phony baloney movie, but we made the first. So then we took those characters, Barbie and Kendra, and did Tiger King. And again, the whole idea is the premise is, in this case, in the case of Tiger King, you saw it, they find a really low rent nature channel called BPN, which stands for, here it comes, Big Pussy Network. And it's a nature channel. And on the nature channel, there's
where do I subscribe?
There's a movie that is the origin of Joe Exotic. And again, we licensed a movie made in the 60s called Terror in the Jungle. And we were lucky that in that movie, this little 5-year, by the way, the leaf blowers have left. That's the reason why I'm going to be late for my next call, because it's like, it was very annoying. I'm sorry. Anyway, so we took this movie and we were lucky, we licensed the movie. We were lucky to, the movie's about this 5-year-old blonde kid who's kind of lost in the jungle, and there's natives and bummers. And through the whole thing, he's clutching this little stuffed tiger. So we cut the movie down, and we got some amazing voice artists, but the best one was Leslie Jordan, if you know who Leslie Jordan is. Yeah. Emmy Award winner. He's this old, funny gay guy who's always on TV. He's got 6 million people following him on Instagram.
He was in Will and Grace.
And he plays the voice of the Tiger King. He's cussing, and it's just very, the little baby, the it's boy hilarious. Tiger. So on the third one, I figured, there's no big event. What's going to make sense? Because, you start these a few months before. I think everyone's going to be always talking about weird ass conspiracy theories, especially things like flat earthers and people who wear tinfoil hats to protect their brains. They have whatever. So that was the idea for the third Barbie and Kendra. And of course, they got to go to Area 51. Now, they never leave their living room. These girls, they just tune into another off network, in this case, a low rent conspiracy network called PUN, Probe U Network. Okay. and then once again, we combine some old movies that they watch, and it's very fun stuff. And we were able to do this during the worst months of the pandemic, because it really required just one day of photography of the girls, the wraparound reacting to the show, and the rest was all done by remote at home. The voice actors, the mixing, the editing, just like I'm looking at you dudes. It's, we were here with other people in other parts of the world putting these movies together. So they were kind of fun to make, kept us a little extra busy during, pretty serious months. But now we've come up with a formula where, again, with some testing and a whole approach that's too complicated to explain, we're going to start going back to our roots, and we're going to make movies across the spectrum so people will recognize not maybe a few sequels, but generally movies inspired by all the films that I think people have enjoyed that we've made over the years. The first one being the Lovecraft piece. So that's going to be fun, and we're just jumping into it because you got to do something. You got to keep rolling here.
Exactly. And I can't wait to see the Lovecraft piece and everything you guys have coming. And I for one, am sincerely praying for the world to reopen back up, because I've been speaking with John Lachago. Him and I have become kind of friends. And I told him how long I've been a fan of the Puppet Master movies and what a dream it would be to be in one of them. And he said, well, that just wouldn't do. You have to be offed by some of the puppets. And he said I forget the guys he said he was going to talk to, but that is in the works, or kind of being whispered about it, at least, of me being offed by some of the puppets.
Okay, that's possible because John is doing one of the first of the 18 shows. We're going to shoot late January. And it's, yes, it does involve a real nasty puppet.
Oh, man. I'm in.
You're making dreams come true.
Puppet needs convictions. Where do you live? Where are you? I have no idea.
I'm in Texas. Near Austin. So right near.
This is low budget. You'll have to hitchhike out here.
Yeah. That could be done. I bet I could get the owner of the site to, at least go halvesies with me on the airfare and hotel. But yeah,
we can make this happen. But no, I want to say sort of in closing that, you guys are awesome and it's fun to talk to you, and sorry about the leaf blower. He's still here, but you can't hear him. He's way down the street. So, so our whole world
not a problem.
Our whole world is fullmoonfeatures.com. It's our site. So we have really two sites. We have one on Amazon. So you can go to Amazon, and we've been there from day one when they first started bringing other streaming sites onto their platform, and it's Full Moon Features. And if you're a Prime member, you can subscribe to our streaming site on Amazon. Or the other choice is you go to fullmoonfeatures.com. It's an app, and you subscribe. It's the same price, and then you can put the app on your Apple TV or Roku, or you can get it on Xbox. So however you want to watch a movie. It's the same deal. Now the difference, and we get a lot of people going, what's the difference between the two?
I know the difference. I know it from person. And you go ahead though, because I say go to Full Moon Features myself, but you go ahead.
Luckily, we're blessed to be on Amazon. There's 150 million Prime members, so we're never going to have that sort of body of people that can push a button. The difference is Amazon, and they've been great partners. They don't let us put up everything. We can't put up some of our more sexy, weird movies that we license. We have hundreds of movies on the channel in addition to mine that, we've licensed from Europe, from Blue Underground, from Something Weird Video. We have our channel is the exploitation channel. It's not, Shudder's a horror channel, and they're 10 times bigger than us, and good for them, but that's a horror channel. Our movies, we have an exploitation channel. So this is like a video store of weird movies, from horror, sci-fi, kids movies, cult movies, Jess Franco movies, sexy movies. Again, no hardcore, nothing over the top. But Amazon's they're very cautious about putting movies up that are a little too edgy. Case in point, going back to Corona Zombies. So Corona Zombies is actually a very funny, cool movie, and it's a comedy. There's not a boob in the film, okay? However, when we do our usual application and let Amazon know what we were putting up that week, we got a very nice letter saying, thank you, but no thank you for Corona Zombies. It's, we're nervous about that, and it could reflect badly, and we would appreciate you not putting the movie up. And it's still not up there. Now, we put up the next two. We put up Tiger King, and we put up Area 51. But Corona Zombies, we right away put up on our fullmoonfeatures.com. Because we get away with a little more. So that's sort of the distinction between the two. That's our whole future. And if we get more subscribers, people support independent filmmaking, which is what you're doing. You can't support it at Blockbuster because your local Blockbuster is a laundromat. So you gotta support independent filmmaking. So yeah, it's $6 a month. But one thing we can do on Full Moon Features, which we can't do on Amazon, this is where I start doing the merch trick, right? Is if you sign up for a year, which is already goes down to $5, it's $60. we send you, if you want it, a 12 Blu-ray box set of the entire Puppet Master collection, which is $120. You've got it. You did. All right. It's $120 value. So if you do the math, it's like, are we losing money every time people sign up? Well, we're kind of breaking even.
Triple the value.
But we bring people in the tent. We bring people in the fold. Now you have, yes, you got your big shiny 12 Blu-ray box set for free, which is cool. But now you're watching all the cool movies we're making. So we need to find ways, organic ways, because we don't have big budgets. We can't go buy TV spots, to bring fans in so that we get enough subscribers one day so where we can make all the movies we want to make and bring other people in. I mean, I'd love to open the door to other filmmakers. Now, right now we have to be careful with what we know how to do. We know how to make movies on a budget. It's, we're very careful, because if you're not careful, you go out of business. It's not,
right.
There's no middle ground. But if we can, double or triple our subscriber base, which is not a big deal, it would still be 0.1% of Amazon's not Amazon, Netflix is 160 million or 50 or whatever they have, 200 million subscribers. Then we'd be set forever, and we'd be able to make some really, really, more cool movies. So that's sort of the goal, and that just depends on people signing up.
Mm-hmm. Now, Charles, I know that you have to get going, but Matthew, you've got a final question, and then we've got to get him out of here because we don't want to get you in trouble.
No, while you weren't looking, I pushed and postponed something because I felt bad with a stupid leaf blower.
No. We appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it. But before I do our final question, I wanted to throw a couple out from the audience. Andrew Kennedy wants to know, will Subspecies 5 ever be released?
Okay, well, he maybe missed part of this conversation. We were shooting the 5th subspecies in April in Croatia. We've been prepping it for a half a year. We designed everything. Anders Hove, Radu, all the principals are coming back. We have a new awesome Bloodstone. It was our biggest production of the year, and that got shut down because of COVID. Americans can't fly to Europe. People are paying attention. We're not allowed because I hate to say it, we're dirty Americans. We can't go because our COVID's off the chart. So when things open up again, we are going to go back and make that movie. We were so excited to finally make Subspecies 5. And Ted and everyone, and we had to cancel. Just like I had 2 other movies we were shooting in Europe. We had a really ambitious program this summer, which had to be shut down.
And then Neil Voice wants to know, I don't know if this is for the Full Moon Features channel or the Amazon, but he wants to know, could you put up Seed People, Charles? Not seen that one in years.
It's up. Just go to Full Moon Features. All my movies are up. See people, fullmoonfeatures.com. It's there.
Well, then Neil is probably on Amazon. So Neil, you need to
it should
forego Amazon.
No, it should be on Amazon. Those are all the movies that are up on both sites. But I mean, sometimes what happens is, again, it's complicated. But when you put movie up on Amazon, you have to give it they require to give you a timeline, like 2 years, okay, and then they take it down because otherwise it's indefinite.
Gotcha.
And we don't have a system yet that every time one of these hundreds of movies run out of their 2 or 3 year window, we push a button and the movie has to be redelivered. So it's possible, without all that technical jargon, that Seed People may be off of the Amazon Full Moon Features. I don't know. But
he says he's in the UK, so that may have something to do with it. He just put that up now.
Well, then he just got to go to Full Moon Features.
Yep, there you go, Neil.
Is the whole planet. Fullmoonfeatures.com. You'll find Seed People. You'll find all those movies and some really weird ones too, for sure.
And that's exactly why when we started on that of the Amazon kind of versus the Full Moon Features, that was my druther. I have both. But the whole reason that I like the Full Moon Features is because it has that vast library. It has stuff that isn't just Full Moon Features. I like the Amazon aspect because it's easy. It's on my Xbox. I can pull it up quickly and I can watch something on Full Moon. I also noticed, Charles, and I don't know if this was on purpose or maybe it was just my misconception, but it seemed like Blade Iron Cross came up on Full Moon Features a couple of weeks before it did Amazon. Is that right?
That is true. That happens because, again, we're in control of Full Moon Features. I mean, we push some buttons and I could, during this conversation, not that I'm going to do it, put a movie up or take a movie down. Amazon takes about 10 days. So you have to submit things. I mean, they got 1 billion movies. They're Amazon.
Right.
So what we're trying to do, for instance, it's a little trickier, but in the case of Barbie and Kendra, Barbie and Kendra went up. The Storm Area 51 that went up at the same time. So whether you're on Amazon, and we're trying to make everything at the same time. But the next sexy movie going up, Femalian Cosmic Crush, which was the fourth Deadly 10 movie, it ain't going up on Amazon because, God forbid, too many boobies, death. That's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
Blood
Yeah,
is no problem. Heads blowing up, blood, decapitation.
Anything
But
like
you
that's
show
usually
one
okay.
too many nipples and you're not getting on.
4 nipples, you're fucked.
Well, Charles, buddy, man, I can't tell you what a blast and an honor this has been. And every interview that we do or conversation we have, we don't even like calling them interviews. We do ask one question. And man, I'm really looking forward to hearing your answer on this one. And that is, if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh man. Okay. That's a great, I'll tell you why it's an awesome question, because I started doing this at a super young age. I was well trained as a movie maker. I mean, I grew up on a movie set. My dad had me doing every job, including some gross jobs, you name it, especially on sets with horses, Westerns, horse shit everywhere. You know, there are jobs that are not always fun, but I did everything. So, you know, I knew how to make a movie soup to nuts, but I had no business training. I made a million stupid mistakes. I was naive. So there's so many mistakes I made. I mean, I don't even know where to start. You know, I would say if I can go back to a super young Charlie Band, get a little business training, or find someone who's knowledgeable in that area. Don't believe, you know, everybody who promises you stuff. I mean, I had some movies I made back 4,000 years ago where, and then I don't do this anymore. I don't take investors in. If we can afford to make the movie on our little budget, we're going to make it. I don't want to deal with other people, because I ran into a lot of trouble. The worst thing that happens is someone says, yeah, kid, we'll fund your movie. And they're all excited and we're shooting. And then they, in the middle of the movie and funding the movie with people on payroll, they say, you know, we got cold feet and I'm afraid we're just going to have to bail. And suddenly you're there left holding, you know, the bag. I don't have extra $100,000 sitting in my account. I was a young kid. So then you have to deal with issues and people owed money, and you're the front person. You know, they're not looking for your silent investor. They're saying, hey, Band, where's my fucking check? So, you know, I know it doesn't sound very romantic or very, you know, like cinema-like, but I would go back and give young Charlie Band some formal business training, because I learned some really crazy lessons, and you know, you eventually learn them or you're out of business. So I would say that's what I would do.
Fantastic.
Well, you are an inspiration to many independent creators that are out there in the world who've been inspired by your movies and your work ethic, and just the love of creating and the stick-to-itiveness of it.
You got to stick to it. You got to be a good soldier. You cannot stop during the worst days ever. You get up and you put your face out there. You know, if you have problems, you tell people, listen, I'm sorry, I'm trying, I'm going, I'm doing. So yeah, and then there are good stretches. There've been some great stretches, like, wow, this is awesome. I mean, for 3 years, I owned the ex Dino De Laurentiis studios in Italy, where they shot, you know, The Bible and Barbarella. I mean, those were 3 short years, and that went away. But you know, it's the history is pretty trippy.
Well, Charles, please make sure that we are on the list for any interviews and
Sure.
Of course, the press releases we've got with the folks. But we want to be anytime that we can get an interview with anything you guys got going on, even if it's for 15, 20, 30 minutes. We love you guys. I told you we're huge fans over here. We love you. We're indie fans, indie promoters. You are the king of indie fans or indie creators, in my opinion, and many opinions of the audience of Geek Insider. I hope we can have you back again sometime.
No,
sir,
for sure. We should do this every so often, because we have this crazy schedule. And I mean, I hope we'll be able to pull it off. You know, you make a plan, then you just cross your fingers it works out. But I think it will, you know, and then if the fans support it, look, you can't go to the video store anymore. You know, individual movies, they either work, they don't. It's just, now it's about, I always feel like I know here I'm talking beyond means, because you guys are easy to talk to. And by the way, we got to kill you in a movie for sure. That has to happen, Matthew.
I'm there. If I have to hitchhike across the country to make it, but I think with our audience, I could do a crowdfunding and get my trip taken care of.
we'll figure something out. But the point of all this is, if people support the streaming side, it's really what keeps us going. There's no other. I mean, yeah, we make a few pennies with little. All the merch is more of a promotion for the movies. You know, it's not like we do it all ourselves. So when people buy merch, they don't buy it from, well, of course, Toys R Us, bad example, gone. But, they buy it from us. We ship it from our own little warehouse. So, if we sell 1,000 of something, that's a lot. But that's not the sort of money that helps make movies that cost, even on our level, $100,000 to $250,000. So at the end of the day, it's I feel like I'm publishing a magazine. That's what a streaming site is. And hopefully the better articles, the better movies, that are in this magazine, the more people will want to stick around and subscribe. That's our whole future.
Well, sir, for me personally, thank you for just so many entertaining years of movies.
Of course.
I hope there's another 40 years in the future, for not only for you.
You can count on it. You can count on it. I got a plan. Even when I'm past 100, I'm just a head in a jar. They're going to walk that head around, head of the family. And I'm going to be telling people and making movies. I don't need the body. Just keep my head, alive and talking.
And folks, if y'all have not seen Head of the Family, you have got to check it out. That is definitely in the top 5 of the Full Moon features. Again, Charles, as just a saying goodbye, where can fans follow you at if they're not already following you? Where can they follow Full Moon to keep up on what's going on and all that good stuff?
If they subscribe to Full Moon Features, there's a link. You go to, Full Moon Direct is our store. You find Facebook and Instagram, all that stuff's there. You just go to Full Moon Features, or even go to Full Moon Direct, which is our store, and you can follow we're pretty good in terms of letting people know what's going on, and so they can follow all this stuff.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you. And on that note, we're going to end this. Charles, it's been a pleasure. We cannot wait to sit with you and talk again.
We will do that for sure. And we got to kill you in a movie, man. It's got to happen.
It's the beard, right?
You just let me know when. Yeah, as long as I ain't got to shave the beard. As long as I can keep the beard.
Shave the beard, you're not in the movie. You got to keep the beard.
Deal. See, now I can use that as an excuse. Baby Charles Band said I can't shave the beard. I'm waiting for my roll call, and so.
All right, guys. Well, good talking to you all. See you later.
Have a great one.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks so much.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships